Swizzy and VanYak were your Chapter 5 Season 2 FNCS champions with a dominant performance, and they're already building off that FNCS championship by winning the first duo tournament of the new Chapter 5 Season 3 season. In this new season, Swizzy and VanYak are switching up their drop spot from Baller's Battleground to the new Redline rig. However, the drop spots are similar in the fact that both of these end up dropping a mythic AR. However, this drop spot is much stronger in the fact that the medallion ends up granting you shield, 5 shield per second regen. This is going to be incredibly strong for their surge strategies. Initially, they are contested off spawn. However, Swizzy is going to do a fantastic job here of winning this drop, being the first to not only establish high ground, but get loot. He eventually is going to get some white tags on the team that contest, and this is going to allow VanYak to easily end up getting some more tags, and they jump on this first opponent, easily knocking him. The other opponent is left in a 1v2, and there isn't a ton of loot here. However, that opponent ends up getting fist and nearly ends up taking out VanYak, but he's able to clutch up here, and now they have the POI contested to get the medallion and the mythic AR. After claiming the boss and picking up the mythic AR and the medallion, you're going to notice that both of those items and weapons end up going to Swizzy. This means he's going to be the one that manages their surge. Also, this drop doesn't have a significant amount of loot, however the advantages are in the materials and the medallion and the weapon, of course. There is a ton of metal here, pretty much the entire structure is metal. But another significant advantage is that the periphery is covered in big bricks, so they're easily able to get their hard materials very quickly. And as you're going to see here, their surge strategy is so broken for a couple of reasons. Swizzy can pretty much stand out in the open and end up trading with anybody since there's no more snipers. His health automatically regens up to 75 shield no matter what, but there are slurp plants around their drop which eventually regen just like they did in Chapter 3 Season 4, which we saw unfold at the Global Championships. So this strategy pretty much guarantees them infinite ability to trade surge, and this is going to be very helpful in a stack lobby like this one. Swizzy and VanYak are now in the mid game, and they're looking to play a little aggressive here. After VanYak starts off the fight with a little bit of damage, Swizzy is going to do a significant amount of damage to the opponent. Eventually, he's going to spray through with his AR here and crack the opponent's shield, and then good fluidity through the builds here to hit this opponent on right-hand peak, getting him very weak. He tries to play aggressive, however, he ends up eating a big pump shot and backing off, but remember, he has the coin, so he can confidently still play aggressive as he's healing and fighting. Eventually, he does pick off that opponent that was weak, and his teammate tries to disengage with a fist. However, Swizzy is hot on his tail here, eventually just spraying him out, getting him into wood, and then cleaning up this duo, which gives him a ton more surge for the rest of this game. After picking up that duo, Swizzy and VanYak are going to make a play that's going to essentially win their tournament in the mid game. They rotate towards Grim Gate, and they establish themselves in an old building, thus giving them the ability to refarm and sightlines on a significant amount of teams. And this is going to work out perfectly as the team with the mythic bow ends up W-keying another team just outside of where they had boxed up. They time this perfectly and realize that more than likely either one team is fully knocked or there is a solo left. And that's exactly what happens as Swizzy gets him perfectly, full pieces this opponent, hits him twice, and ends up getting a humongous refresh worth of 4 bodies. And they also get the mythic bow, and you're going to see why this wins them the game later on. Rotations in this season aren't too difficult due to the fists. They're essentially like katanas. However, they're going to use early rotations here to get established into this 7th zone. Eventually, you're going to see why the bow is so broken, as eventually VanYak ends up bullying this team off the layer above them when they're on the low ground, and that team ends up making a very desperate play as one uses the Colo to run right into Swizzy's face, and he just ends up 2-pumping him here, and they once again get a significant amount of surge as well as a much needed refresh. The execution of this next rotation is really what allows them to easily win this game. They end up fisting 3 times, getting ahead of the lobby and elevating. This gives them a significant line of sight on all the other teams that end up rotating too late, and they end up getting a knock here with Swizzy's fantastic aim with the mythic AR. Now we're going to take a look at VanYak because getting this mythic bow that has infinite ammo is essentially a cheat code on how to win, as the other teams even tried to establish higher, he continually just greased them, eventually forcing them down, and Swizzy ends up picking up that elimination. Now it's time for the endgame, and take a look what VanYak does as he pre-builds a ton of metal ramps. This is similar to the Katana season, where you had to protect teams from being able to take high ground by establishing on super high layers. Eventually, this is going to be the reason why they win this game. Now that they have high ground secured, their job is to keep it, and VanYak is going to do this perfectly. Already pre-tarping with those metal ramps, he's going to continue to elevate and always connect laterally with 2 cone pieces. Eventually, they're going to get up to such a significant height that no amount of fist is going to be able to contest them. This is very similar to the meta that was in Chapter 4 Season 2 with the Katanas. Now, VanYak is always going to do this one thing. He's going to tarp ahead with 2 cones and then spray his infinite bow on the entire lobby. Now, I wish there was a lot to show you here, but I kid you not, all the way up until the final seconds of this game, they simply just place 2 cones while Swizzy sprays with his AR and VanYak spams his infinite bow weapon. I know it's kind of cringe, however, they are playing the meta perfectly. Eventually, they're going to get towards the back end of zones where all of this spamming is going to pay off in terms of eliminations, as VanYak, in the last 30 seconds here, is going to end up picking up 4 eliminations, thus bringing their total to 11. This is the key because in this particular tournament, you need a victory royale, and the tiebreaker is how many average eliminations, and this 11 elimination game is what put them over to win. Swizzy and VanYak have proven that they've already adapted to the meta perfectly. They landed at an incredibly strong drop that gives them a fantastic weapon to abuse Swizzy's aim. They also have an item that easily allows them to trade surge without them getting punished, and their drop spot gives them significant amount of materials as well as shield plants, so they can trade surge and continually have a significant amount of materials throughout the game. They also demonstrated good quality rotations here and how to try and establish high ground. After establishing high ground, they obviously understood that the thing that they had to do was pressure everybody throughout the entire endgame and build up high enough where Fist couldn't contest them, and this worked out perfectly as they never ever left the lair once they established it in the second moving zone. Well guys, that is going to do it for today's VOD review. I hope that you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on post notifications. And I hope I'll be seeing you in the next one. Peace.